Hey YouTube, it's KB Baby here, and today I wanted to do a video talking about Risk of Rain 2's first DLC, Survivors of the Void. Just came out yesterday. In fact, you might have gotten this video yesterday if I wasn't too busy playing Risk of Rain 2, right? And I wanted to do this video just, kind of experiment, because Risk of Rain 2 is my, favorite roguelite. Enter the Gungeon kind of comes close, but nothing really tickles the itch that Risk of Rain 2 does, and I wanted to, pay tribute to it because I did a video like a couple of months back, about half a year maybe, talking about the base game and reviewing it. So I wanted to actually just review, how it is like right now for its first DLC, right? And I would say that I would recommend it, honestly. It doesn't feel, and this might be just a problem with me and gaming as a whole lately, but I feel like sometimes the difference between an update and a DLC is, not that massive, but I do think that the devs at Hopu Games, they put in a lot of effort to kind of like make this DLC feel, unique, right? So it's not just like some update that they, just rushed and put out for everybody to have, right? I think it's fairly certain to say that, I was a little underwhelmed at times, mostly with the final boss battle. I think was kind of, it wasn't as cool as Mithrix. It was the problem for me, but Mithrix was, in my opinion at least, a good final boss for the base game, right? So maybe that's just me at the end of the day. Now, I think where this DLC kind of really shines is making you feel like it really, I guess, it. Risk of Rain 2 is a single-player game, right? You can play it with friends, but for the most part, it's a single-player game. So saying, like, it kind of refreshes the meta feels a little weird because, again, it's a single-player game. But I do think it gives you a lot more options to kind of, make the run kind of progress in interesting ways moving, like, forward, right? And the way they do that is void items. Now, void items basically give you the choice between the game's base game, item, which, interestingly enough, it's not just also in this clip right here, I get like 3 legendaries back to back. Or was it 2 or 3? It was one or the other, but if you can see in the top, I've already got, had a legendary, right? So, anyways. No, it's definitely 3, I remember now. And so, see, what ended up happening, right, with these void items is that there are, I was thinking that there were going to be like all kind of like good items to give you a choice between the two, but it's a mixture between items that are good and items that are bad, right? So they will, and how it works is once you pick up a void item, any item you pick up that is the counterpart. So for an example, there is Lensmaker glasses, which if you are familiar with the game, or if you're not, I'll tell you what they are. Lensmaker's glasses gives you a chance to deal double damage on an attack. That turns that into the Seer's glasses, I believe. I think it might be the Seer sight, I don't know, but it's Seer something, right? And that gives you a 0.5% chance to instantly kill an enemy on your attack, and it goes up by 0.5% each time. Now, fun fact in the trailer, I'm pretty sure it, or one of the gameplays anyway, it was actually 0.2%, so they actually increased it from the trailer. Maybe that was due to community feedback. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. And basically, those the crit chance, like the normal version of the item, that's a pretty good one. But on the other hand, I would argue that the Seer's glasses are also pretty good, right? And if you see them on your run, it gives you that chance, right? Also, very important thing to note about the Seer's glasses, it's a 0.5% to kill on a non-boss enemy. So it won't work on the final boss or the teleporter bosses. But I'm pretty sure, it doesn't matter if it's a large monster, which large monsters are technically bosses, but, like, I'm pretty sure it just means, like, when there's a health bar at the top of the screen, right? So the idea there, and this is just one example, there's, like, 13 or 14 void items, I'm pretty sure. And that's just one example of how the void items work. It gives you a choice between 2 of them. And, like, even the bad items, I'd say, that are void items. It's not necessarily a direct upgrade. It kind of feels like more of a cost balancing that, except for like maybe one or two void items. For the most part, all the rest are just it's one or the other. There's no like definitive best one, I'd say, right? And the one exception I think would definitely be the a new type of fungus that replaces the one that heals you when you stand still. Of course, this was an item that, if you're familiar with the game, but if you're not, standing still in Risk of Rain 2 is kind of like accepting death. So having the Void version makes it so when you sprint, which is what you're going to be doing a lot, you heal. But unfortunately, right, it doesn't seem like the trade-off's all that worth it, right? Because I'm pretty sure it goes from like healing you 2.5% health per second to like 2% health. And, it basically means that it's just a definitive upgrade for that Void item at least. It might be like that for one other Void item I can't name off the top of my head, but yeah, for the most part, I do think that they actually kind of nailed the Void item part of the update on the head. They also, in my opinion, nailed all the red items. They are good. The new red items, which for those of you who don't know, are like the best items in the game, but it's harder to stack them. Strong effects, harder to stack, right? Maybe saying they're the best items in the game is kind of because there's some whites that are arguably good, but those are easier to stack, right? I'd say the greens... Actually, I'd say that the greens are the one part of the item pool that are kind of the worst at the moment. I feel like the updates and stuff that was added there, I could be wrong, or I could be missing something, right? But I do feel like, it's an even split. There was like 6 items, and I'm pretty sure 3 of them were like pretty mediocre, and 3 of them were pretty good, right? The mediocre one I'm talking about is like, I feel like the shipment list. I find that item to be kind of just like, it's like the old key, but you get the choice between 2 of them, and it's in a larger chest, so it's easier to see. But, like, again, it's just the old key, but now it's green, and it doesn't feel like all that good, in my opinion. I feel like they should have adjust the values, because the thing that makes it bad, in my opinion, is that it has the same values as a normal chest, but if you get more, it increases the values. I don't know by what, right? But but it does, right? I think they should re-look at the base values of that, and also the equipment in this DLC, I'd say, is also well done. I didn't pick up that piece of equipment right back there, the orange ones, but they're also pretty good. The white ones, the white items, that being, I'd say are pretty good. There's only kind of 2 that are just mediocre. Like, they're not bad, they're just not good, and that basically means that they are like consumed when you're at low health. One's a healing item, one's a damage item, and, they have good synergy with one another, basically. So, yeah, that's, for the most part, like, I guess it on the items. Also, the lunar items are pretty good, too, in my opinion. Though I feel like that one's more subjective, because lunar items are... And when I say they're good, I mean they're like well balanced, because lunar items are supposed to give you a big positive and a big negative. Most of them don't give a big negative, but I feel like the ones in this DLC give you pretty big negatives, right, for the most part. So it is what it is. I mentioned this earlier about the final boss in the area. I feel like that could have been better, honestly. It wasn't like, and granted, my only real like playthrough to get there, it was when I was unlocking the Void Fiend, which is the character I'm playing as right now. And honestly, even though I was like doing a like drizzle command run, which was basically in, non-Risk of Rain 2 terms, was a run where it's baby easy and I can get items fairly quickly and the items I want. It still feels like, even without that, from what I've seen, it's kind of an easy boss. Like, when I was going through it, like, I wasn't really, like, even, like, with the items, like, even with, like, Drizzle Command, like, I would get to Mithrix, and I still have to pay attention to the fight. But it felt like with the, Voidling, that's what the new final boss's name is. I won't go into too much spoilers past this, is that honestly, he feels kind of easy, right? Like, his attack patterns are pretty easy to learn. It just seems more like like he just does a lot of damage, which it doesn't really matter if you know if he's like the only enemy and his attack patterns are pretty easy, is what I think the problem is. And I feel like that's kind of like the community consensus at the moment. I could be wrong on that. I could have read that wrong, right? They could have just been a couple people, vocal minorities, right? But I do feel like, for the most part, the new final boss kind of on the weaker side. Not really it doesn't really feel like a final boss, right? It feels like the secret ending boss, but like there's a secret ending in the game if you have an item and you go and obliterate yourself at an obelisk, right? I won't get into it because it's secret stuff. If you know what Risk of Rain 2 is, you know. If you don't, then it's way too confusing. But basically, there's a secret ending, and there's a boss that's kind of like an already existing enemy, but way harder. Kind of feels like that to an extent, although, albeit a little. No, the Voidling is, I would say, is better than that for a final boss, but it still isn't much better, I would say. It's definitely nowhere near Mithrix, and I think that's like my big problem, my big gripe with it. And I hope if, by some chance, Hopu Games is listening to this, the next DLC, if it has a final boss, not necessarily more like Mithrix, but to have that same kind of challenge as Mithrix, right? If that makes any sense. Because Mithrix is a very one-on-one fight, and for those who haven't played Risk of Rain 2, that might not make a lot of sense, right? Because you would be like, well, most fights are one-on-one, but in Risk of Rain 2, if you can see by the footage in the background, you're usually dealing with hordes of enemies, so having a 1v1 fight makes it feel really unique. And the Voidling is also kind of like a one-on-one fight, but he doesn't have moves or abilities or even an arena that really kind of feels suited for it. He's very large, right? I don't think he's the largest enemy in the game. I could be wrong on that, though, but it feels like there could have been just a lot more done with his fight. I did enjoy the parts of the fight where when you go between phases and you have to do platforming. I feel like it could have Risk of Rain 2 could have gone out of their way to make that longer, make those sections a bit longer. Maybe that's something they could do in a patch. I don't know. Maybe even make the boss more difficult, give him more moves or something in a patch. But I'm not gonna assume that Hopu will go and do a complete overhaul of the boss, right? But I will say that if they are watching this, or you're a YouTuber or whatever, and you're just looking for like what people are saying about this, I would definitely say that a better final boss is something that I really want for the next DLC. We know for a fact that we're getting at least one more DLC. I wouldn't be surprised if we got another year of DLC, like a third expansion and a fourth one. But I wouldn't, count on it per se. It's not confirmed, right? And normally I do like to hype myself up, but again, I'm not sure, right? Overall, I'd say this expansion did a lot in terms of balance. A lot of things I like. I very much enjoy the void items, the red items, the white items. The new survivors, I haven't really talked about that much, but awesome. I like how they kind of act differently with the items than most survivors do. Survivors are the characters you play, if you didn't know. And they're very different, which is good. Obviously, the Void Fiend you can see on the screen right now. Fun fact, having healing items with him is kind of surprisingly counterproductive, it feels. So that's interesting, and I think that makes for really interesting characters. And alternatively, with the Railgunner, attack speed and crit chance aren't nearly as important as other characters, so well, attack speed's good for her primary, not her zoomed in scope, but I still think that it's not as important as on other characters, which I think is interesting, and it makes it a really interesting experience playing them, which I think was a good thing. So depending on who you are and what you want from a DLC, you'll like it, absolutely. Like I'd say my expectations were not only met, but in some aspects succeeded. But there's also some parts that if you're not into other things or want more things, they don't Hopu, that is, they don't fully deliver on what they could have, what could have been, rather. And, you know, I do hope that's a lesson to be learned for future DLC, that's for certain. Is it worth your money as a short little mini review to give my first impressions? Because, again, I can't give really definitive statements on everything because I haven't put as much time into it as I'd like. But I would say that it's on sale right now until March 7th, I believe. And it's like $9.50, I believe, $9.50. And I think that's good. I think it's a good price, and you should get it. It is also going after March 7th. It's going to be $15. I also think that's well worth the money. Preferably, if you had to wait for a sale, like I wouldn't say, you know, there's definitely been worse DLCs made, right? By worse companies and stuff. And I do like supporting Hopu games, especially considering that they've given me, like, by me, the community, rather, like, tons of free updates for basically the last year and a half, maybe 2 years at this point. So, paying for this one, I say is fine. And my biggest critiques could be more content, could be a better final boss. But don't get me wrong, like, the content that we do have is good, and I feel like we're just missing, like, a few things, and then it would just be perfect. I think maybe I wanted maybe just a few more void items. I think that's what it might be in my head. But besides that, I think the DLC, for the most part, is really good, honestly. And you might see it in the background of some of my videos. And also, tell me what you think of this style, because, again, sometimes when I touch my desk, there's this, like, little bar that I can put my foot on. And sometimes when I do that, it just, like, all the metal just, like, goes back into place if it's been bending, or if it, maybe I am bending it, I don't know. I don't know technology, I ain't no carpenter, right? But, yeah. Let me know if you like the style. Let me know if you like the DLC, if you've actually played it and you're just looking to hear what other people say. And let me know if you're interested in Risk of Rain 2, because this is, like, one of my favorite games. Also, let me know. I know I'm asking a lot from you, but, you know, I'm a sociopath, so I don't really care too much. Jokes aside. Let me know if you want to see more, like, content around games, because I know I'm basically a drama YouTuber, but I talk about what I want to on this channel, right? I ain't ever gonna let somebody give me up and let me down. Never gonna run around and desert you. If you're new to this channel, I do shit like this all the time. It's because I'm not a sociopath. I'm actually just schizophrenic. I'm not schizophrenic. I'm autistic. That one isn't a lie. I am technically Asperger's, okay? Okay? No lies here, alright? So, yeah. I've been KB, baby. God bless your soul. Stay rad. Don't be radicalized. And, yeah, I'm signing out. Peace.